Literal equations are where you have an equation like x plus y divided by b equals c. And they'll say something like solve for x. One little secret. Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been a STEM teacher for 20 years and I like to make math easy and engaging and not so scary for everyone involved. If you have a question, leave it in the comments or send me a DM. If you are having a hard time visualizing something, like which one gets divided, which one gets multiplied, all of that, because you're dealing with more complex numbers or something, you can sort of substitute in some whole numbers to just sort of visualize what's going on, right? So I can do that here, right? Especially when you're first learning these, it makes it a little bit easier to visualize. So what if I replaced all of the letters that aren't X with numbers? So I would have X plus, let's say Y is 2, B is 3, C is 4. Let's just make it easy on ourselves, right? So X plus 2 over 3 equals 4. It's the same thing, right? Now let's keep track. How would we solve this? Well, the first thing we would do is we would want to get rid of that fraction, right? So we would multiply both sides by 3. So then we have x plus 2 equals 4 times 3. And then I would subtract 2 from both sides. And I would have x equals 4 times 3 minus 2. Okay, now notice I'm not actually like carrying out, I'm not actually calculating these, right? Because remember, we're just trying to visualize the steps. So what we did first was we multiplied what was on the bottom. Great. And then we subtracted that other number. So it's in reverse order of operations. So now if I transfer this over and look at x plus y over b equals c, and I'm solving for x, okay, first, I don't like how I wrote that. So if I go back to the original with x plus y over b equals c, first thing I'm going to do is the same idea. I'm going to multiply by what's on the bottom. Okay, so now I have x plus y equals, we usually write things in alphabetical order, so I'm just going to do bc. Okay, and now I subtract y from both sides, and I have x equals bc minus y. So it's the same concept. It's just not really simplifying anything. It's just rearranging stuff, right? So you want to think about it. Okay, well, how would I get x by itself? And work through that plan, right? So work through the plan and get into like, okay, what I would get rid of the fraction, I would subtract, right? The first thing you're going to do is multiply or divide to simplify things or to get things onto one side or the other. And then you're going to go through and add or subtract, right? So that's what we did here, right? But it really depends on the literal equation itself. But literal equations are just kind of rearranging, and they are good practice for when you have a formula, right? But ultimately what I always tell everybody is when you have a formula, like, or really anything, but if you have the formula, you don't necessarily have to rewrite it in the different format. Like, you can always just plug in what you know and solve for what you don't, right? You can always just do that. Like, you don't necessarily need to rewrite the formula in a certain way.